Eek. Hello, everybody. All right. So I'm going to be pulling this shit together as we're going today. I was going to have like a full normal ass stream, but now I have a doctor's appointment in like an hour and a half. And I need to go to that because today was the only day I could get in for pretty much the rest of the month. So I am going to try and get as much through as I can. I would say I can come back on and stream after the doctor's appointment finishes, but most of you people will be in bed. So, I don't know, I guess we'll try and get through the biggest of the news today. But thankfully, since I am going to go and deal with the doctor shit today, that means I can have a long stream tomorrow. Anyway, hello, Ilirda. Hope you're doing all right. I think you're actually the only buddy here. Oof, oof, oof. This is what happens when my entire, like, plan gets thrown out of whack. Fuck. Hold on. All my plans getting thrown out of wacky whack. You guys can see and hear me, right? Just making sure that all that shit's working. Okay, cool. I guess. Well, fuck it. Might as well. We're the propagators of genocide, burning through the world's resources, then we, turn and hide. Well, I mean, you're not wrong, What Camera Inc., but we could do better. We can do better. Fuck, man, I had so much good shit to talk about today. What's up, Erratic Cookie? Gonna have to settle with just, I don't know, bullshitting out my ass because, there's main news to cover, and I don't want to not talk about it, but I don't have very long. But first, like, I don't know, I hate jumping straight into horrific atrocities, so I do want to kind of have some fun. I have, like, 20-minute drive in like an hour and a half. I am feeling a little bit better, but I mean, I'm usually feeling a little bit better around this time of day. It's usually later in the day that I'm not. Cool ship. I know it's a cool ship. You know what else is cool is this big ass fucking plane. Just really, I don't care about the fact that, like, oh look, big plane. It's more perspective. I wanted to do a whole thing on this, tying this into the way that we see the world, let alone how we see ourselves, and make a point about that, of these are real things that you coincide with, that you exist in the same timeline of, the same world of. That was such a cool shot. I do love the sublime feeling they give too. And it's more than just that sublime feeling. I think that that's a purely human feeling. I mean, looking at, first of all, even just the people look tiny in these images, but look at that fucking crack. This could just go drop at any point in time. I would be, even me, terrified of stepping on this thing. They take me away from the strangest places. Thing is, these strange places are not all that strange. We're the strange one. Like, the place is that place. The place in the context of that place makes perfect sense. It's the fact that we see it as strange. That makes it strange. If you were, I don't know, 600 meters tall, this wouldn't be strange. And that's kind of the point that I want to really show you, is that you get to decide. You get to decide. This could look terrifying. This could look beautiful. Or you could be a piece of shit, and you could look at this and think about how much money you'd make from cutting it apart and selling it piece by piece. Your perspective shapes how you engage with reality, and really it does encapsulate all of reality. I love when the world makes me feel small and insignificant. See, but Ilirda, I think it's the opposite. When I look at things like this, I don't feel small and insignificant. I feel significant. I feel connected to these things because I can make a change to the reality of others. As in, I can decide whether you get to see this tree because I've seen this tree. And I've seen this tree because somebody else saw this tree. And somebody else saw that tree because somebody told them to go here, or they used a machine that somebody else made. There's a word for this. The realization that every life on the planet other than you has just as full, complete of a inner life, a complex range of relationships, decisions, patterns of their own lives. This is called Sonder. And that to me doesn't make me feel small and insignificant. It makes me feel like a greater part of all of it. I mean, it's kind of like the idea of, if you observe something, you are taking a measurement just by observing this thing. And because this thing is being observed by you, you are acknowledging that it is real. And because you were acknowledging that it's real, it's real. It's the consciousness aspect. Today is the most disgusting day at any point in the trash Trump presidency. Today's nation's notions floated by Trump and his idiots are even worse than Jan 6. Are you surprised? Erratic, conspiracy nuts? Like, we kind of were expecting all of this. And yes, I know about the DOJ. Did I show you my Milton video? No, you didn't. You did not. We will get into the DOJ. I suppose we should just kind of jump straight into that, considering I am on, unfortunately now, limited time for the day. Because again, you guys will be asleep by the time I get back. Well, I suppose let's fucking do it. I don't know. I wanted to give this justice, man. And there is not enough energy built up for me to do this segment and give it justice. I don't know. I will at least say this. You know what? Fuck it. If I'm only here for an hour and a half, we're not just doing like the news as usual. I'm gonna do some of the other stuff that I want to do, and then we can do more of the news tomorrow. Sorry, guys. I know I do have to go like to the doctor. It was last minute fucking change, but whatever. This is what you can expect, though. The video is choppy. It is the way that it is. This was caught on a hot mic. It shouldn't surprise you.
The people wanted to change everything, and they wanted to demand they love you. They love what you do. I'm not sure supportive. I want them to do, homegrown criminals next. Yeah. I said, homegrowns are next. The homegrowns built. You got to build about 5 more places. Yeah, that's fair. All right.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can hear that for yourself. Build 5 more gulags. And the homegrowns are next. The citizens are next. In fact, I mean, like, the fact that you all saw what happened, right? You all saw this conversation. You all heard the lies, the absolute untruths. Does it matter? Can you convince anybody of this? No. Surely not. Like, you can tell everybody in the world, you can scream that Stephen Miller's lying here at the top of your lungs all day.
Questions about it per the court can only be directed to him.
I asked.
I promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan to ask for anything
Court's
to get
asking
it back?
to.
Is that
What was the ruling in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0?
Yes, it was a 9-0
In our favor.
in our favor against the district court ruling,
Well, it wasn't.
saying that no district court has the power
No, it wasn't.
to compel the foreign policy
But it doesn't
function of
matter.
the United States. As
Because
Pam
what are
said,
you gonna do about
the
it?
ruling solely stated that if this individual, at El Salvador's sole discretion,
That's not what it said. Does it matter what it said? We can look up the exact court order. We can read it from start to finish. It was incredible to see a 9-0 ruling. And instantly I knew that it still doesn't matter. Because this was always the plan. It's not like they hid this from, like, the people. It's not like they said they were going to do one thing and then did another. No, they ran on doing this. They put out their evil master plan and said, here's what we're going to do. And we said, okay. And that's what they're doing. Like, I'm not sure what I can say to you that is going to be different than what I've been saying for an entire year now. 9-0, the feckless Republican Supreme Court won't do crap. What do you mean? The Supreme Court did 9-0 say they have to return the guy. We're the ones that are, you know, gonna pretend that they didn't, because it doesn't matter. Like I said, Stephen Miller can say it, and I can sit here and say, no, actually, it's the opposite of what they're saying. Does it matter? It doesn't matter if I can prove it. No. Because who's going to go and get the guy back from El Salvador? It's not Bukele. It's not Trump. It's not the, like, military. The Supreme Court needs to arrest all of these people, but they cannot. They genuinely cannot. Because the Supreme Court doesn't run the DOJ. Pam Bondi does. The Supreme Court can try, but they have no power because the government doesn't exist. Trump's lawyers just told the court to go fuck themselves about 20 minutes ago. Yeah, absolutely. Why the fuck wouldn't they? Because they said they were going to do exactly all of this. This is Patriot Front USA. Like, they got what they wanted. Everything on their agenda was fulfilled like this. It's just MAGA, and we no longer live in democracy. Well, yeah, you guys are saying this as if you are surprised. Did you think anybody was going to stand up to them from the right? That Republicans would be standing up for democracy? No, they're not. Of course they're not going to. Oh yeah, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can read the, like, court documents, Headless Chicken. Who cares? They have said it openly. You know, you don't have to read the document. You can listen to the words that they're saying. Listen to fucking Bukele explain it is from, like, listen to them talk. That's all you have to do. Just listen to them talk.
How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
I don't have the power to return the prisoner that America sent to me to the United States. Like, really? Really? No, of course not. It doesn't matter. Do you think the order from the Supreme Court was for show? No. I think they actually did put in 9-0. No, bring this guy back from El Salvador. And the government said, no, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Like, what are you gonna do about it, is what they said. Do you understand? This is Bukele laughing his fucking ass off. How am I supposed to smuggle a terrorist into the United States? As in, like, how am I supposed to bring back the person we sent to the Gulag?
Inside El Salvador. Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our.
By the way, when is a Gulag a death camp to you? What meets the criteria from Gulag to death camp? Well, at the very least, if you're not expecting these people to ever return, then it is functionally a death camp, whether it's immediately the case or not.
Country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
I'm quitting vaping, by the way,
Well,
guys.
they'd love
so.
to have a criminal, you know,
There's
released into
that.
our
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
Look, again, I'm sorry I won't be able to go into this as much detail as I'd like to, because now I have to fucking, like, go in 45 minutes. I'm mad about it, believe me, we will continue on with this subject tomorrow. You can tell he's not used to sugarcoating his corruption. Yeah, not even a little bit. Like, and they don't want to be. They don't want to be. Why, like...
Willing to pay for those facilities to be opened if new ones were going to be built?
I'd do something, we'd help them out, yeah, we help them. They're great facilities, very strong facilities, and they don't play games. I'd like to go a step further. I mean, I say...
This is, you know, up here.
I said it to Pam. I don't know what the laws are. We always have to obey the laws, but we also have homegrown criminals that push people into subways that hit...
You want to know what the homegrown criminals look like to me? Like this Louisiana Baptist pastor, Shane Wiggins, who's been arrested for raping a child. Feel like that's a homegrown one, but that's not who he's talking about, is it? That's not who they're referring to when they're having a hot mic and talking like...
The mandate, the people wanted to change their lives, and they wanted to be demanding, they love you, they love what you do. No, I'm not sure supportive. I want them to do, you know.
That's for us, guys. It's for you and me.
Yeah. I said, homegrown's are next. The homegrown's built, you gotta build about 5 more places. Yeah.
He's referring to people like you and me and everyone else in here. Yeah. But again, it's not the first time. It's not the first time. Not the first time he said it. It's not the first time today he said it.
You mentioned that you're open to deporting individuals that aren't foreign aliens, but...
Again, there's no deportations happening. Deportation is a specific process. This is just kidnapping.
Criminals to El Salvador. Does that include potentially U.S. citizens fully naturalized American?
If they're criminals and if they hit people with baseball bats over their head that happen to be 90 years old, and if...
What if they happen to be
if they
79?
rape
When will the
87-year-old
U.S. wake up and do something? They're not going to. Talk now. I'm sorry. They're not going to. When did Nazi Germany wake up and do something? They're not going to. They're not going to. Martial law's coming on the 19th. Is the last big protest you're going to see. And they might allow it. They might crack down on it. What I want you to do is different now. I don't see you having an election again. 420 is when they'll declare Hitler's birthday. Maybe he does it before. Maybe he holds it off for a week after just to be like, haha, you thought we were gonna do it, and then you let your guard down and then they do it because maximum cruelty. Who the fuck knows? At this current rate, this is a different world that we're gonna live in. And I think we need to shift the way that we're looking at it. What do you mean that there won't be another election? I mean, when I see the Supreme Court's 9-0 rulings against the administration being objectively ignored, fuck off, we don't care. That doesn't instill me with the belief that there would be free and fair elections. Why would there be? Hell, first off, if they do put in martial law, as long as martial law is in place, there is no election, because there is no democracy. That's the point of martial law. There will never be a legit election. Even Hitler in Germany had elections. Even Putin has elections. Doesn't help House Dems voted to pass the SAVE Act. It doesn't matter if they had or hadn't, because they control all. Sure that you couldn't vote. And even if you did vote, and even if you could vote, they would know whose vote to count and whose vote to not. Thank you for the raid, guys. Unfortunately, I'm not actually going to be able to stick around. Such a waste of a raid, unfortunately. Don't worry. I will put you onto good hands when I leave. I mean, about the El Salvador president, Trump is all gaslighting his base while the news cycle keeps on flipping every week. Of course he is. Why does he care? It doesn't matter. The point is the gaslighting of the base. That's always the point. You know, like, I do gotta say, like, these Anne Frank quotes are gonna start hitting quite a lot harder in a bit. In fact, they kind of already are. Terrible things are happening outside. Poor helpless people are being dragged out of their homes. Families are torn apart. Men, women, children are separated. Children come home from school to find that their parents have disappeared. This is happening now. Can somebody who speaks German tell me if that's brain rot or not? Or, you know, I can. Yeah, it's Robert F. Kennedy who has the brain rot. Look, I'm gonna jump around because there's just little bits and pieces of things that I want to show you. But really, fuck it. No more of that. No more of the news today. We're gonna do the news tomorrow because, as I said, I actually have to leave in an hour. So instead, we're gonna do something more useful than the news, because I can give you the news every day until my face is blue. That's not going to help you. Yes, I'm sure a lot of you are now noticing that democracy's dead. I'm sure that you can finally see it and you believe it. I've been saying this for months now. Now, what's next? What do you do next, right? Because it is anti-vax bullshit, Bounce House 42. I haven't read exactly what that post was, but I have a decent idea of what it is. We'll cover it tomorrow. What you can do instead, right now, barring any massive, large-scale rebellion, you're not getting a change in the government. You're not getting anything you really find important or care about done for you in America today. Your healthcare, your, financial status, your ability to, feel safe in your home, feel safe in your community. Like, the how you feel is the only thing you currently have even a modicum of influence over. And so I want to focus on this instead. Just because I don't have control over what I can do now as well. And so we're going to sit with that. We're all going to spend the next half hour being uncomfortable. Organize, agitate, and make demands. Make no doubt, Cicero Fields. I agree. But this is not good enough for everybody as a broad blanket of advice, because not everybody can, and not everybody will. Just throw those in the Discord, please, Headless Chicken. I'll have to look at them after. I'll have to catch up on all the news from today afterward, and we'll have a long one tomorrow. But what we can do, in the meantime, is focus on how we are engaging with reality around us now. Yes, some of us should be organizing, agitating, making demands out on the streets. If you cannot, if you are one of the people who is too anxious, who doesn't feel like it is worth talking to some of the people around you, maybe like your neighbors, something that I tell you to do day after day after day. Go talk to your neighbors, go outside, talk to strangers. At the very least, you need to come to a state where you are okay with the fact that nothing's going to get better anytime soon. Like, there is no point in anyone's life where you can say it's all downhill from here with full certainty. That just doesn't exist. And it never will, in fact. I will tell you this right now. I don't care where you are. I don't care who you are. You will have a good day again. You will have positive things happen to you. You are going to feel happy. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to or not, you will feel joy and fulfillment again. You don't get to make that choice right now. What you do get to choose is how you feel right now. That's what you get to choose. And we, as a species, really, but more importantly, in this smaller aspect of a community within a community within a country, within a political environment, within a household, within whatever fucking context that you're in, learn to sit with that discomfort. Learn to not have to do something about it. Learn to be uncomfortable and to be comfortable in that. Because you're not going to be comfortable anytime soon. Not without unknown factors influencing this. Process that shit, or that shit will process you. Yeah. Exactly, Sundry Clown Car. And I'm thinking about this in that, like, bringing in more of this wellness aspect into my streams just to be like a regular part of things every now and again. And I'm looking for like some methods that I can employ here. But in the end, it comes down to each and every one of you. You don't receive change passively. You have to be an active participant in your change, in the change that you want to see. Because even if you do see the change, if you're not actively participating in it, then you don't get to decide, first of all. Whether or not you actually want this or not is a whole other thing. I wonder if Trump supporters are much happier right now or just coping. Some of them are happier, some of them are coping. And that doesn't matter. Who cares? Because the ones that are happy really don't have any sense of happiness in their life at all. They can't fathom the degree of happiness that you can feel, or I can feel, because they get their happiness from the base suffering of others. And that's never going to produce the same kind of joy that you can produce in your own life. But secondly, you need to understand that these people have opinions, not choices. That's it. Like, they don't have any freedom themselves. They just have opinions. They have the freedom to have an opinion, but they don't get to make any choice. Just as much as you don't get to make a choice and I don't get to make a choice. You don't need to make the choice for them. And I don't want them making the choice for you. You should make the choice for you. If you are unhappy with yourself, you have to be the one to change that. And if you aren't doing something actively, if let's say I want to quit vaping. Here's 3 dead vapes in my hand. There's about 15 dead vapes in a bin that I have right now. Keeping these 3 around because I know for a fact that they're dead. So when I try and hit them, nothing happens. I'm making a choice to keep these around and to use these as a crutch while I've thrown all of the other ones that might actually work, even have like a tiny little bit of nick left in them, away. Because I want to make change. And me making change is not going to come from not doing anything. Me smoking straight flower right now, honestly, better than vaping, Elirda. Is vaping really that bad? Yeah, it is many such cases. It's not only like bad for your, like, just on the premise of finances, actually. Just on that. But it is infinitely more usable than, I don't know, like cigarettes. I smoked cigarettes for a decade. I vape all the time now, and I vape more than I ever smoked. Why? Because I didn't smoke inside. I can vape inside. So fuck that shit. I vaped and smoked. Vaping gave me a worse hit and recurring cough. Vaping might have been what pushed me over the edge with COPD. You have to be the change you want to see in yourself. You don't need a system of rules. You don't need, to micromanage every last thing that you do to the point of, like, if it's perfection, then it's good enough. But if anything less than exactly what I had in mind is, not good enough, you're never going to get there. You're never going to feel fulfilled. You are never going to feel happy until you are able to first feel uncomfortable and comfortable in that discomfort. Interesting. I thought maybe vaping was better than smoking. It theoretically could be, depending on how it's made. If the vape is made with high quality material and the liquids aren't, I don't know, dog shit, and they are created in a way that doesn't incentivize you to constantly use it all, like, day after day after day, every minute after minute, in the house, for example. Like, again, if I had to go outside, I would use less. But beyond that, it's the amount of nicotine available. Like, cigarettes will give you what, like somewhere between 2 and 6 milligrams of total nicotine in your body, whereas there's 2 to 6 milligrams in like a sip of a sip of a sip of a sip of a hit of a vape. Like, there's a lot more nicotine, so you're already more addicted to start off with. What's up, Dandit? So I'm kind of annoyed because I have to go soon. And I was planning on actually doing a much longer stream than this. So I'm using my time in a different way than I would be otherwise. Instead of talking to you about what's happening in the world, I want to talk to you about how I deal with some of this shit. Takes vape hit gets lightheaded and vomits. Good way to not vape. And if you barely feel like a nicotine high from vaping, then you probably have either you're either doing it wrong and you should stop because you're already not like addicted to vaping. Why would you do so? But secondly, you might just have too much nicotine in your body already. Look, it's just that feeling of discomfort. Really. That's the key here, I think. And I'm putting some ideas together on how we can practice some of this. Like exposure therapy to you guys or something. Because sometimes discomfort is the only way to fix something. I got a dumb question. When you vape nicotine, do you hold the smoke in? I know cigars you're just supposed to puff. When I vape, I just like inhale as deep as I can and then just exhale. But that's because that's how I smoke cigarettes. Look, I read a lot this weekend on various things that you could be doing to learn how to I think a big part of this comes down to first having to acknowledge that not all of your feelings are valid. Not all of your feelings are valid. And this goes for everybody. Not all of my feelings are valid. And I think that that's valid. And as long as you operate on the assumption that all of your feelings are valid, then you're always going to struggle with that emotional regulation, because you're always going to try and form a defense for why your feelings are valid. Sometimes they're not valid. Sometimes having invalid feelings in and of itself is valid. And I think you need to take that first and understand and accept this, or you'll never actually be able to feel that discomfort and to be comfortable in it. So people smoke on cigars just to blow a bunch of smoke out? Kinda, yeah. What's up, long leg homo sapien? Yeah, stay safe, everybody. Your feelings have no validity. Sounds like a fun thing to say. The thing is, you're doing this exact thing that I'm referring to, Froggy Mono. Your feelings are not all valid. Not that your feelings have no validity or that none of your feelings are valid, but you are responsible for your own emotional state. And you are responsible for feeling comfortable in your discomfort. And yes, as part of a positive community, it is the responsibility of everyone in this community to try and make how you feel a little bit better, to improve how everyone in this community feels. And that makes sense. But that doesn't mean that if they fail to do so, that's on them. No, it's on you. You get to decide how you feel. You have to decide how you feel. You might not control the outside factors that are influencing you to feel a certain way, but whether or not you feel that way, and whether or not you're okay with that, whether you're able to do that, that's on you. Sometimes I'm angry, but it's because I'm hopped up on caffeine and not whatever the issue I'm dealing with is. Fair. I'm angry right now because of my ADHD medicine, my lack of nicotine, my inability to do any of the segments that I had planned and just having to go off the cuff here. And you know what? I'm okay with that because I run a real loose ship here. I don't care. And to be fair, I say that of I run a real loose ship here as someone who runs a very tight ship. ADHD meds can make you mad. A desire to be focused and productive and having, I don't know, a whole set of plans that all have to be last minute either put to the side or entirely sidetracked or entirely, I don't know, broken apart. That can make you mad. A lack of nicotine when you're a nicotine addict can make you mad. If you don't need them and you take them, then yes, they are basically meth biochemically. Although, like, there are stipulations and differences there, but like even that, who I don't particularly care. If you want to take meth, you can take meth. Like, that's gonna make you mad. Maybe, possibly. Meth does tend to make people quite a bit more mad than, like, I don't know, being on too much Adderall does, because there are differences in how it affects your brain chemistry. But really, even in that case, you get to decide your brain chemistry. Whether the anger is something that you are going to feel to the point where it is going to explode, even on drugs. Yeah, that's your choice. If you are high off your ass and you feel a situation that is likely to produce anger, you still have the ability to make the choice to not enter that situation. Now, you might not make the right choice. That's a whole other thing. But choices. That is life, is choices. And reality, by definition, is the result of these choices. Now, you exist by yourself. You are one person. I am one person. The reality around me, I can influence that. If I want, I don't know, it's like that. I have moved matter. I have shifted the reality around me. But if I say, I don't know, I want the colors of this to show up better on my computer screen, I have to do something about that. Now, if I physically could not, possibly, let's say it was broken. Let's say, you know what? Fuck that. I want this to not be broken. Well, I'm shit out of luck. That ain't going away. And so I have to learn how to be okay with that. And I am okay with it because I've learned to be thankful for this breaking. This breaking is a story and a memory now. I'm thankful that that broke. And why am I thankful that that broke? Is it because the story or the memory in and of itself has any special, like, connotation or value? No. No, not even a little bit. The way that that broke is a friend of mine bumped into it, and it fell and it broke. The connotation is that I want it to be special. And so I decided that, yeah, you know what, I'm grateful that that broke, because I declare that this is, no, I don't want to fix it. I don't want to fix it. I have decided that its broken state is how I want it to be. And it made me comfortable with the fact that something that I didn't originally want to break, broke. Sad, I don't get what to take. Mom forces me to take antipsychotics. Twoku, rather. You're gonna be, you're probably, gonna be thankful for that one day. I mean, there's a pretty high chance, that not pretty high, rather, but equally as high chance that you might not. But you get to decide. Again, you get to decide. In fact, you get to decide whether you take those or not. Now, am I going to tell you not to take your medicine? Of course the fuck I'm not going to do that. No. Do what your parents tell you to do. If you're, I don't know, a minor, I'm not gonna, unless they're hurting you. Do what your doctor tells you to do. But also, do what makes you happy. You get to make these choices. You get to make these decisions. You then also have to live with the results of these. Sometimes you're wrong, and that's okay. Like, it's totally fine being wrong. In fact, like, so many people are wrong so often and constantly fight about it only because they're incapable of saying, huh, that's a better idea, thank you. Rather than, I don't know, fighting about who's right and who's wrong and why they're right and why they're... Like, if one of you points out that I'm wrong about something, I'm never going to argue with you, because it's just, oh, cool, more information, thank you. But you have to first have the ability to, I don't know, accept that you're wrong, to feel, let's say, even publicly, that you were wrong, and embarrassment. Do I have to take responsibility for stuff that makes me happy? If I get a hangover from drinking, it's the alcohol's fault? No. It is partially caused by the alcohol, but you drank. And yeah, you do have to take the responsibility, even if it makes you happy. If it makes you happy in the short term, but not in the long term, that's your responsibility. If it makes you happy in the short term and the long term, that's your responsibility. If it makes you unhappy in the short term and it makes you happy in the long term, that is also your responsibility, such as exercising. Might be something that makes you unhappy in the short term, but in the long term, you might be thankful that you did that. You might be, I don't know. I do actually have to go, but I stopped discussing politics with friends because I said something that was so wrong and it made me feel self-conscious ever since. See, I think that there's nothing wrong with that. I think that there's nothing wrong with being wrong and feeling self-conscious about it. Now, I wouldn't choose to be wrong over and over and over again. You know, you should choose to do better, but learn from that. Best to keep your mouth closed, thought a fool, and then opened it and proved it. See, nah, fuck that shit. Don't be quiet. Don't be afraid of being embarrassed. What's wrong with being embarrassed? Do you think that that's, I don't know, a useless trait? Do you think that, like, be loud, fuck up? Guys, you used to be allowed to fuck up. Remember that? Back in the day when you used to be able to do things and be wrong? Learn to yeah, Abe Lincoln is wrong. People have been wrong. Good people have regularly been wrong. Here's a small skit about being wrong. like 7 minutes.
Duh, I disagree with the author of this script.
You're allowed to be.
With the author of this script. And I agree with the author of this script. Yeah. Duh, I'm wrong. And I'm...
You're like, I don't know. Here, let me put it to you this way. Let me show you guys something that's going to make you uncomfortable. And I want you to be aware that that's the point. And I need you to be okay with that.
Baby, 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 this is not food waste because it's not being wasted. This is not going to waste. I'm taking a tablespoon of peanut butter and spreading it on the counter for
This isn't the video that I wanted to show you, but it's one.
This is the peanut.
But peanut butter on the counter. This upsets you? Then you need to put peanut butter on the counter. Start pouring peanut butter on the counter. And again, if the thing that is upsetting you here isn't, let's say, peanut butter. Let's say it's coffee, which is how I saw this.
If this upsets you, you are worried about the wrong thing.
It's not a waste. It's not a waste, many such cases. In fact, you feeling like it's wasteful is the issue. That's the response. That's the trauma response. Ilirda. Yes, but like, don't get sidetracked. That's not the point. The point is, there's nothing wrong. No, don't be sorry. Is that there's nothing wrong with the waste means that it fulfills no use, no purpose. Might as well just go to the store, buy peanut butter, open it, and pour it into the bin. Does that look like it has no use? Hell, do you think that you need to finish all of the food that you cook for yourself? No, because I think of people who aren't as privileged as me and who may not have food and water. And if you feel that way, then I'm telling you that that's the issue. That is the trauma response, because you are not responsible for those people. And you letting some of your peanut butter go to waste or go in the bin, me making a cup of coffee and pouring it into the bin, doesn't change their life at all. It doesn't change their life at all. Now, you could say you could have gone and found homeless people to give it to. Yeah, you can do that. But that doesn't mean that not doing so and in your home, let's say, you know, fuck it, let's take this and bring it to the most normal possible way that you could imagine. Imagine this is a cup of coffee and you're walking around and you bump into something. Coffee has now gone everywhere, right? Visual aids to give you an example. You have wasted this much coffee. Yes? No. You haven't. Because that much coffee is just not going to go in. It's not a waste. It's just coffee that isn't going to you. That's going in the bin. You're still going to drink the rest of the coffee in your coffee mug. You're still going to enjoy the benefit of that coffee. You're still getting the use for it. And some of it is left over, but you don't need it. That's not applicable to you. You don't need to finish every drop of food on the plate. You don't need to feel bad for waste because you're done. And that does also tie into, I mean, like the compost bin. I don't have a compost bin. I live in an apartment building, and I'm just thinking like one bin is like the word that we use for everything here in Australia. I don't know. Like I do recycle. I just still call it the bin. Even if you made an entire coffee and then knocked it entirely off the desk before the first sip. Yeah. Now, like, it still would not have been a waste. You know why? You want to know why that's okay? Because that's being a human being. And you don't always get to control things that happen in your environment. But you get to control how you feel about them. You can decide how you feel about that. You can decide if, let's say, you're a parent and put yourself, even if you're not a parent, I'm not a parent. Oh, now my keyboard's broken. Sorry, gotta go get another keyboard. Or you can take that and frame it in a way that's positive. So chat, I'm thankful that now my keyboard's broken because now I get to go buy a new keyboard. And that's a fun experience. I get to go buy something. And we all know that consumerism does, in fact, give you the brain chems. Now, is that a good thing? Whole other conversation there. But, like, you get to choose the framing. You get to choose whether you feel bad. And take this from this perspective. Imagine yourself as a parent. And your kid brews a cup of coffee. And they drop it on the ground immediately. Like, they get that coffee, and immediately the entire glass is shattered, or the ceramic rather, there's coffee everywhere. Or do you think that, like, how you go about and engaging with this emotionally in yourself is going to affect how the people around you might engage with this emotionally? It's raid night and you've been planning all week grinding. The shops are closed. Your team is calling you on Discord. And I cannot because I have to go to the doctor in, actually now, as a chap, unfortunately. I wasn't supposed to go to the doctor. Controlling my emotions, anxiety is a skill. I'm still working on it. But at 41, building my resilience to normal everyday stuff is part of that. And that's what I mean, is like you get to be in charge of that. And some people might take longer, but you might have taken longer to come to terms with some of the issues that you need to fix. Maybe you didn't come to terms with them late. Maybe you just, I don't know, took your time slowly. I haven't had the time to really explain what I'm trying to say here in as much detail as I would like to. And of course you should try and not waste things, but that's beside the point right now, because all we do is waste. We are a wasteful society. We're a sick society. And it's not waste if it's used in the fixing of that society. You can't feel guilty about every little action. You don't need to abide by the strict, perfect, everything is either 100% moral or 100% immoral rules that we have, that we set. You hold yourself accountable. And as long as you don't feel like you're wasting something when you're doing it, then you're not wasting it. And I'm telling you that it's not a waste, and you should be listening to me. Because, clearly I know some things. The oils in the ground was once animals who were destroyed by nature. And one day there will be new oils in the ground because of animals. Are you going to do a Bernie watch party? No, unfortunately not. I'm going to raid somebody and then go and see a doctor about my lungs. When I spill a coffee, I just think of the sticky floor and ants, so gotta wipe it. Yeah. You wipe it and then you move on. That's what you should be doing. That's what I mean. Just, like, move on with, you don't need to be upset about it. You get to decide. Let's just raid Nina because it's been a hot minute since I've raided Nina. Headless Chicken, could you pass along the message that I say hi and have a lovely day? And sorry I can't stick around because I need to go and see this. If I get back quick enough, like if it's only an hour that I'm gone, I'll jump back on. If not, I will I'll figure something out. I'll either start like an early stream tomorrow and stay on for a while, or I will do something like late night tonight or some shit like that. Anyway, I hope you all at least got something from this today. The point that I really want you to understand is that you get to decide. You get to decide how you feel. And if you're not feeling better, if you're not seeing any change, maybe that's something you got to do. More to do.